Multiple tropical systems developing across northern Australia, 2 cyclone warnings active, heavy rainfall, strong winds, and serious impacts on the way for parts of Western Australia and Queensland. That is the situation we're dealing with. Right now, conditions across the country are about as varied as they get. Up in Far North Queensland around Mount Carbine, it's 31 degrees at 10 a.m. with 80% humidity. Minimum overnight was 25. Brisbane feeling it too. The humidity's been climbing all week, hot and sticky. Ipswich has been copping some serious heat. Meanwhile, down in Carcoar in New South Wales, it's a pleasant 22 degrees with cool winds making it feel more like 18 in the shade. Top of 26 expected, overnight low of 7. That is the contrast we're reworking with as these tropical systems start to develop. I've been through the latest data from the Bureau of Meteorology. I've examined the Access model, the GFS and the European model. And what we're seeing is a significant tropical development pattern across northern Australia. This isn't a speculation, this is happening now. Let me walk you through what is developing, where it is heading, and what you need to know if you are in the affected areas, starting with the most immediate threat. Tropical Low 16U, currently located in the Timor Sea. This system has been organising throughout the day. The satellite imagery shows clear rotation developing. We've got a defined centre of low pressure at the surface level. The convection that the thunderstorm activity is still a bit displaced from the centre. That not ideal for rapid intensification, but this system is still in its early stages. It got time. The Bureau has issued a tropical cyclone warning for the northwestern parts of Western Australia. This is the real deal. This system is tracking southeast and intensifying as it goes. The current forecast has it making landfall around Cape Lavarack, that pronounced more like Liviek, by the way, on the Dampier Peninsula in the Kimberley region. Expected landfall is Saturday afternoon. By that point, we're looking at Category 1, possibly Category 2, with an outside chance of Category 3 intensity. Now, some of you might be thinking this sounds familiar. Similar pattern to Cyclone Alfred, perhaps different setup, but I understand the comparison. Let me explain why this system is a concern and why the intensification potential is higher than you might expect from a typical January cyclone. Sea surface temperatures. Right now, the system is over water that is about 29 degrees Celsius. As it tracks southeast over the next 2 days, those temperatures increase. By Friday, it'll be over 30-degree water. As it makes its final approach to the Western Australian coastline, we are talking 31 degrees. For context, 26 degrees is the threshold for tropical cyclone formation. 28 degrees is where we typically see severe tropical cyclone development. 30 degrees, that where explosive intensification becomes possible. That jet fuel for these systems. Wind shear is also working in this system's favour. The upper level winds, the winds at higher altitudes that can tear a cyclone apart, they're very light in the vicinity of this system, between 5 and 10 knots. That's the sweet spot for intensification. Add to that an upper level trough approaching from the west, and we've got enhanced outflow. Think of it like upgrading the exhaust on your engine. Everything runs more efficiently. The Bureau's official forecast is calling for a Category 1 landfall. That is a conservative estimate, and I understand why. The system hasn't fully developed yet. They need to see how it performs over the next 12 to 24 hours before committing to higher numbers. But I need to be honest with you, the ceiling for this system is quite high. Significant intensification is not just possible, it is likely. The multi-model consensus shows peak winds at landfall of about 60 to 70 knots. That is sustained winds of 120 to 135 kilometres per hour. Some of the model runs are showing peaks of 70 to 80 knots, with a few outliers reaching 90 knots. That is sustained winds approaching 170 kilometres per hour. Now, is that likely? No. Winds over 150 kilometres per hour are unlikely at this stage. But it gives you an idea of what is possible if conditions align perfectly. For those in Broome, you need to prepare for a Category 1, possibly Category 2 impact. You might not cop a direct hit, but you'll be on the southern edge of this system. That still means strong winds, heavy rain, and dangerous conditions. Derby, you are more directly in the firing line. Prepare for Category 2 conditions. Winds between 100 and 120 kilometres per hour are likely in your area. That's the worst case scenario right now, and it is worth taking seriously. The northeastern quadrant of this cyclone, that is the area to the north and northeast of where it crosses the coast, that is going to see the worst conditions. The strongest winds, the heaviest rainfall, the highest storm surge. If you're north of the landfall point and the current track suggests that north of Broome, you need to be ready. Now, I'm not trying to create panic here. Western Australia Kimberley region deals with cyclones. Your homes are built for this. The building codes up there are designed to handle Category 3, even Category 4 conditions. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't prepare. Secure loose items around your property. Stock up on essentials before Friday. Make sure your cyclone kit is ready. Fresh batteries, drinking water, non-perishable food. If you are in a caravan or temporary structure, relocate to solid shelter before Friday night. The good news, if there is any, is that this system will be short and sharp. Landfall Saturday afternoon, weakening rapidly as it moves inland Saturday night into early Sunday morning. The destructive winds want to last long, but while they're re-happening, they'll be significant. Now, the other concern with this system is rainfall, not just in the Kimberley, but also across the top end of the Northern Territory. As this tropical low tracks southeast, it is dragging moisture up from the north. The monsoon trough is wrapping into this system. Darwin and the Tiwi Islands can expect heavy rainfall and brief periods of strong winds Friday and Saturday. You want to see cyclone force winds, but you will feel the effects of this system as it passes to your west. Right, the Western Australia situation. Let us talk about Queensland. There is a second tropical low developing, and this one is a bit more complex. Tropical low 18U, now officially on the Bureau S forecast, developing in the Gulf of Carpentaria. This system is expected to form from the monsoon trough sometime this weekend. Current track has it dragging down the eastern edge of the Gulf along the western coast of Cape York Peninsula, reaching about Mornington Island by early next week. From that point, the forecast becomes uncertain. The multi-model consensus shows some potential for this to become a tropical cyclone. There are a few model runs depicting cyclone development in the far southeastern corner of the Gulf of Carpentaria. I am not putting too much weight on that right now. Land interaction is likely to be a problem. The system will be hugging the coast, which makes intensification difficult. It's also going to be pretty monsoonal in nature. Elongated, disorganised, stretched out, not the tight, compact structure you need for a strong cyclone. But here's what I am concerned about: rainfall. If this system crosses the coast at any point, or if it stalls in the southeastern corner of the Gulf, which is possible Monday through Thursday next week, we could see significant rainfall accumulations. The good news is most of that rainfall looks to stay coastal. That means flash flooding is possible, but major riverine flooding is unlikely. The water will fall quickly and drain to the ocean rather than building up in river systems. For those along the western coast of Cape York Peninsula, south of Waipa, you need to monitor this one. There's a chance of tropical cyclone impacts on your part of the coastline. Not high probability, but enough to warrant attention. And for Far North Queensland, particularly around Cairns, the Kasserine Coast and the Daintree region, you're looking at a couple of days of showers turning to on and off rainfall Sunday through Thursday next week. This system will generate good onshore flow as it develops. Rainfall totals could approach 150 to 250 millimetres in most areas, with isolated falls of 400 to 500 millimetres in a few spots. That's not a major concern for this region. You are used to heavy wet season rain, but it's worth keeping tabs on. Mount Carbine, you mentioned the storms have been going inland the last couple of days. That pattern changes this weekend. The moisture returns to the coast. You'll see those totals climb. For those waiting for rain, Brisbane and Kilcoy in particular, this Gulf system doesn't look like it'll deliver what you are hoping for. The bulk of the moisture stays north and west. Southeast Queensland remains on the dry side of this pattern. Now, there's a third system worth mentioning, though it's much longer range and much more uncertain. In the dying days of January, we're expecting something to develop around the Vanuatu and Fiji area. Some of the long-range models are showing a tropical low spinning up in that region, potentially tracking into the Coral Sea in the first week of February. It is too early to say anything concrete about track or intensity. The model spread is enormous at that range. But it's worth filing away in the back of your mind. Some activity in the Coral Sea is possible early February, right? Let's talk about what this all means from a practical standpoint, particularly for those who might not be used to dealing with tropical cyclones. For northwestern Western Australia, Broome, Derby and the Kimberley region, this is the priority zone. You've got until Friday to prepare. That is not a lot of time. If you haven't already, start now. Secure anything outside that could become a projectile. Patio furniture, trampolines, loose roofing sheets, tools, garden equipment. Tie down or bring inside. Check your property for weak points, loose guttering, damaged roof tiles, trees with dead branches overhanging the house. Sort those out now. Stock up on essentials. Not panic buying, just sensible preparation. Water, at least 3 litres per person per day for 3 days. Non-perishable food, tinned goods, dried pasta, rice, things that don't need refrigeration. Batteries, torches, portable radio, first aid kit, medications, important documents in a waterproof container. If you've got a generator, test it now. Make sure you've got fuel. If you don't have a generator, charge all your devices Friday night. Power outages are likely. Fill your vehicle with fuel. If the power goes out, petrol stations can keep pump. For those with livestock, make sure they've got shelter and fresh water. Cyclones are stressful for animals too. Know your evacuation plan. If you in a flood-prone area or in a structure that is not cyclone rated, identify where you'll go if you need to evacuate. Wait until Saturday morning to make that decision. And here a critical point. If you re-advise to evacuate, do it early. The worst time to be on the road is when the cyclone is approaching. If you wait too long, you'll be stuck. For the Northern Territory, Darwin and the Tiwi Islands. You are not looking at cyclone conditions, but you will see impacts. Heavy rain Friday and Saturday, strong wind gusts possible, clear drains around your property, make sure loose items are secured. If you've got plans for the weekend, factor in the weather. It's not going to be pleasant. For Queensland, particularly the Gulf country and Far North Queensland. The situation is more fluid. This Gulf system is still developing and the track is uncertain, but it's a good time to refresh your cyclone plan regardless. Check your kit, make sure you've got supplies, monitor the Bureau S updates. If this system does strengthen and track towards the coast, you'll have a day or two of warning. Use that time wisely. For southeast Queensland, Brisbane and areas south, you will not in the firing line for this event, but I know many of you have been waiting for rain. The dams are getting low. This system doesn't look like it'll deliver. The moisture stays north. That is frustrating, I understand. But better to know now than to hope for rain that doesn't eventuate. Now, for those asking about the Victorian heatwave next week, particularly around Mildura, yes, there is a significant heat event shaping up for inland Victoria and South Australia. I've seen reports suggesting Mildura could hit 48 degrees next Tuesday. That based on the GFS model, and those long-range temperature forecasts can be unreliable, but the pattern is definitely there for extreme heat. I'll be watching that closely and we'll have more details as we get closer. For now, just be aware that if you are in inland Victoria or South Australia, particularly the Mallee and Riverland regions, prepare for severe to extreme heat next week. Right, let's talk about the meteorology behind all this, because understanding why these systems are developing helps you understand what air is coming. We're in the middle of the monsoon season. The monsoon trough, that SA zone of low pressure that sits across northern Australia during summer, is active and well positioned. It's wrapping around these developing systems, feeding them moisture. That's why we're seeing multiple lows spin up at once. The sea surface temperatures across the Timor Sea, Arafura Sea and Gulf of Carpentaria are well above average for this time of year. We're talking 1 to 2 degrees above the long-term mean in most areas. That might not sound like much, but in terms of cyclone energy, it is significant. Warmer water means more evaporation, more moisture in the atmosphere, more fuel for these systems. The upper level environment is also favourable. Light wind shear, which as I mentioned earlier, is crucial for cyclone development. And we've got good outflow channels. Air rising in the centre of these systems needs somewhere to go. If the upper level winds can efficiently remove that air, the system can maintain its intensity and even strengthen. The access model, the Bureau S primary forecast model, is showing good agreement with the GFS and the European model on the track of the Western Australia system. That gives us confidence in that forecast. For the Gulf system, there is more divergence between the models. Some have it staying weak and monsoonal, others show more organisation. That's why the forecast confidence is lower for Queensland compared to WA. One thing that has been interesting this cyclone season is how quickly systems can spin up. We've seen it multiple times already. A poorly organised monsoon trough one day, a defined tropical low the next, a cyclone within 48 hours. That's faster than the long-term average. It's partly due to those warm sea temperatures, partly due to favourable atmospheric patterns, but it means you can wait for a system to be named before you start preparing. By the time it's officially a cyclone, it might only be a day or two from landfall. Many of you remember Cyclone Tracy. Christmas Eve 1974, sustained winds of 217 kilometres per hour. Darwin was destroyed, 71 people died. This system isn't Tracy, not even close, but it's a reminder that cyclones deserve respect. Even a Category 1 can cause significant damage if you're unprepared. A Category 2 is serious business. In more recent memory, Cyclone Larry hit Queensland in 2006. Category 5 at landfall, Innisfail copped the worst of it, millions of dollars in damage to the banana industry. Cyclone Yassi in 2011, another Category 5, Mission Beach and Tully took the hit. These are systems that this part of Australia is familiar with. You know what they can do. The good news is building standards have improved. Emergency response systems are better. Communication is better. The Bureau S forecasting has improved dramatically. We get earlier warnings, more accurate tracks. That gives you time to prepare. But preparation only works if you actually do it. Don T assumes she'll be right. Don T wait until the last minute. And Don T underestimate a Category 1 or 2 just because it's not a Category 5. Now, a few people have asked about the monsoon and the monsoon trough. What are they exactly? Fair question. The monsoon is a seasonal wind pattern. During the Australian summer, the monsoon brings moist northwesterly winds from the Indian Ocean and Arafura Sea across northern Australia. That S, what delivers the wet season to the top end, the Kimberley and Far North Queensland. The monsoon trough is the zone where these northwesterly monsoon winds meet the southeasterly trade winds. It's a zone of convergence where air is forced to rise. Rising air creates clouds, rain, thunderstorms, and in the right conditions, tropical cyclones. The position and strength of the monsoon trough determines where we see tropical cyclone development. Right now, it's positioned perfectly to spawn multiple systems across northern Australia. That S, why we're dealing with this situation. As we head through the rest of January and into early February, the monsoon trough will continue to be active. That means more potential for tropical cyclone development. This isn't the end of the season. We rewrite in the peak period. On average, northern Australia sees about 3 to 4 cyclones per season, with 1 or 2 making landfall in populated areas. We're on track for an average season so far, maybe slightly above average, depending on how these current systems develop. The broader climate patterns are neutral at the moment. We're not in an El Nino or La Nina phase. The Indian Ocean dipole is neutral. The southern annular mode is neutral. That means we don't have strong drivers pushing the monsoon one way or another. It's behaving in a fairly typical way for this time of year, right? To wrap this up, 3 systems to monitor. 1 is an immediate threat to Western Australia. 1 is developing in the Gulf and could impact Queensland next week. 1 is long range and uncertain in the Coral Sea. For those in the Kimberley region of Western Australia, this is your weekend. Prepare today and tomorrow. Landfall Saturday afternoon. Category 1 to 2 expected, possibly stronger. Don T underestimated. For those in the Northern Territory, particularly Darwin and the Tiwi Islands, Friday and Saturday will be wet and windy. Not cyclone conditions, but impacts nonetheless. For Queensland, the Gulf system is one to watch. It is still developing. Track is uncertain, but it has potential to cause issues next week. Monitor the Bureau S updates. And for everyone else, even if you're not in the direct path of these systems, it's a good time to check your cyclone kit. Make sure you're ready. The season isn't over. If you've got questions about your specific area, check the Bureau of Meteorology website. They've got detailed warnings and forecasts for every region. If you're in an area under warning, follow the advice of emergency services. They're the experts on the ground. Stay safe, stay informed, and don't panic. We've been through this before. We know what to do. Just make sure you actually do it. I'll be monitoring these systems closely. If the situation changes significantly, particularly with rapid intensification of the Western Australia system, there will be updates. But for now, that's where we're at. Multiple tropical systems, serious